The Arizona Cardinals are unfortunately officially down another running back. Do they need to adapt to the personnel issues that they're having with nobody in the run game and lean into the passing game? Johnny, we've got an expert that's going to be able to fill us in on that.
Yeah, Kurt Warner stops by to talk all things Arizona Cardinal offense. What did he make Junior's tough first half and his triumphant second half? Plus, can this offense get behind Kyler Murray in 10-11 personnel? PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Brack. Noah Man behind the mic. Hall of Famer Kurt Warner is here to talk all things Arizona Cardinal football as we bring Kurt on. This show brought to you by our friends at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app today. Never ordinary. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. All right, Kurt, let's get right into it. We've had about roughly a week to digest the Cardinals. I would say competitive yet disappointing defeat at the hands of the Seattle Seahawks. And once again, we're talking about this offense underperforming. I mean, let's start with that. What did you see? Because you've broken it down well on Twitter. We're all trying to digest this week in and week out. Like, where are the Cardinals at offensively right now?
I think the biggest thing I would say is that, and I think sometimes the hardest thing for an offense to kind of fix your problems is when you watch the tape. I don't think it's just one area. It's not just one guy. I think everybody takes their turns. In the breakdown that I did, I think there's a number of little nuances, details, things like that. That could be cleaned up or, could be addressed a little bit differently. And that's what I think it is. It's like, one play may be, Kyler moving through something a little too fast. And one play might be Marvin not running his route exactly how they expect him to run his route, or maybe some of the details within the route that's messing them up. And so I think that's always the hardest thing. It's so much easier when you can pinpoint one thing and go, okay, here's our problem. This is where we have to focus and get better. But when you've got a team where it just seems to be like, every play that doesn't work, you could point your finger somewhere different. That's where it becomes a lot harder. And it, really comes down to, hey, we all got to lock in and screw it down and make sure every single play we're on top of our details if we're going to be successful, because, too many one-offs lead to losing tough football games. And you guys have said it, they've, been competitive in all of their games, but losing some close ones, and sometimes losing some close ones come down to those one or two plays we always talk about it, right? Nobody knows which plays they are. We could pick one here or there, one there, but if you have a number of them, any one of those plays may be the difference in deciding, who wins and who loses when you're playing another good football team.
I thought your analysis after that was great. It's same thing with Kirk Herbstreit on the broadcast. It was Marvin Harrison Jr. seemed to be kind of the main talking point throughout the game. Just the brutal start, Kurt, and then kind of showing some resilience in the face of adversity, and then stepping up in that second half. He goes 1 catch on 5 targets, 2 resulting in a pick. And then in the second half, he's got the 5 catches. He's over 6 catches, 66 yards, and that touchdown. How do you kind of break down the performance for our audience?
Well, I think the thing we talked a little bit about last week is just, the idea of getting comfortable within this offense. And if you go back and look at the catches that he did make in the second half, there was one kind of a back shoulder play, so it wasn't about route running. It wasn't about thinking. It was just like run and the ball's in the air, go get it. And then, there were 2 more. Obviously, the touchdown was a corner route, but it was kind of the same thing. Where, it wasn't like you have to think, just beat your guy and go to the corner and I'm going to throw it up. And then there was the other back shoulder that, set him up kind of inside the 10-yard line. So that to me was, maybe the biggest thing was just throw the ball to him, in those kinds of situations and allow him to just let his, his talent and, his natural instincts take over. I broke down, the first interception in that game and, Marvin's running an in route. And as he's coming in, Kyler's starting to step up and move in the pocket. And you saw Marvin all of a sudden hesitate, almost like he was going to put his foot in the ground and break back to the outside, thinking Kyler was going to scramble. Kyler throws it to him, thinking he's going to continue on the in route. And so I feel like the more he thinks, the more he's struggled, the more he's had issues of, what do I do here? And how do I attack this particular coverage or how somebody's playing me when it's just, hey, go run your route and then go get the football. He was obviously much, much better in that game. And so I'm not sure you could just make sure every throw that you make to him is one of those. But as we talked again about last week, is like, maybe putting him on one side of the field and giving him kind of those, shrinking the route tree and giving him, those kind of one-on-one routes on the backside. So anytime Kyler gets him, manned up, there's a lot of comfort there to go, hey, I believe in these situations with these, few routes, he can be successful. And we build that up. We make it easier on Kyler. We make it easier on Marvin. And we build up that confidence. And then maybe we can expand some of those things as we move along.
Kurt, I think you've got a great insight to this, not only because of your high level of play, but you've been in Arizona the entire time here when Kyler Murray has had success with the Arizona Cardinals. And we look at kind of two schools of thought. Came into this league with Cliff Kingsbury, fresh off of Lincoln Riley, run and shoot offense, 10-11 personnel. And then he had the ACL injury, and he came back with Drew Petzing. And under Jonathan Gannon, they've been very run dominant, 12-13 personnel. And we saw maybe a change in philosophy for the first time back to the old style on Thursday night. I know it didn't end the way the Cardinals and Cardinal fans wanted. They did score on 3 straight possessions against Seattle to end that game. What do you think the best offense is for Kyler Murray? Because I do think like last year, the benefits of 12-13 personnel, like keeping Kyler Murray clean, you can run the football. But I think it limits, this is just my opinion, it limits his explosiveness. It limits his ability to get the ball out quickly, maybe because of his height. I don't know. Like, how do you kind of judge K1 and where you think he should align offensively?
Yeah, I think the bottom line just becomes, what are you best at? I think just, putting a good offense around him. And, I feel like he's been at his best when they've had a really good running game. When they were running the football and kind of became a run dominant or run first type team, and he was able to be a complementary piece. I felt like that was when they had the best version of their offense. And so, I have no problem with that as long as you can run the football. And that becomes the key. I mean, you see a team like Seattle that will use a lot of 2 and 3 tight ends, and they'll do a lot of, throwing off of it. I just did a breakdown on, naked bootlegs. And you look around the league, especially the Shanahan tree, they live in that world of running, putting tight ends, condensing formations, and then running naked bootlegs off of that, which is something that I think Kyler's really, really good at. And so getting creative in that world, I think those are all things that can help. It takes the pressure off the quarterback, and especially, Kyler, as he continues to develop in the pocket, those are things that can help you outside the pocket and use the athleticism or use his ability to throw on the run, which he does really, really well. So I'm not opposed to that. Now, you're right. There's probably going to be some limitations that you have, but, you have a tight end like like Trey, and, he's a guy that can stretch the field. And I think you can create some big play shot opportunities and chunk throws out of that personnel too, because most defenses are going to match that personnel. And, the play action passes, I continue to say, I think the good athletic tight ends are the biggest mismatch in football because, when a linebacker or a safety has to cover them, and those guys are responsible in the run game as well, a little play fake, a little, block release by a tight end, and those guys are hitting it, and those guys have to fill their gaps. And all of a sudden, a guy like Trey McBride is behind you making big plays. And so I do think it really comes down to what do you think you can do best, and how can you, build an offense that you think plays to Kyler's strengths? Is that spreading it out all the time and running the drop back game? I'm not sure that's, the best mode that they want to live in. I think, it would be advantageous to be able to create some things and create some easy opportunities and, and not expose them pressure-wise either, because that's another thing. And I always say this, I don't know what it's like to play the game at, 5'9", 5'10", because I never did. But you have to believe that the more pressure you get on you with big guys in front of you, the harder it's going to be to see. And so those heavy personnels are ways to be able to create a little bit more of a wall up in front of you if you can create some of those explosive plays out of it. So I don't think that's just one of those things where you go, well, if we're going to play with two tight ends in those kind of sets, it's all going to be, short dink and dunk, short throws because it's thrown to the tight ends. I think, there's teams that are really, really good at creating those opportunities, off of play action and doing some things that I think Kyler would be really good at.
The big plays really stand out from Thursday, kind of a microcosm of the entire connection. But when we talk about Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr., you've got the 2 picks, you got the touchdown, and then some in-between plays too that looked very familiar to last year during his rookie season where there just was a misconnection. There was a ball hitting a ton of grass between them. There was maybe the option route where Kyler threw it one way and Marvin was going another direction. As far as just the chemistry, the communication, what can Kyler and Marv do just from maybe a surface level because you don't know it personally, but what can they do to improve and strengthen that connection going forward?
It's a hard thing if you were talking about any sort of a choice route whatsoever, because anything that leaves some gray area to, okay, what do you see? What do I see? Those are always the hardest things. Because, if you're asking, and so I'm thinking back to the game and a couple that I'm thinking of are the kind of the one-on-ones on the sideline, where Marvin's running a go and Kyler's throwing a stop and those things happen where, we used to always say that if you got cover 2, okay, so it was a hard corner and then a safety over the top, like a stop route, like a 10, 12-yard stop route would turn to a go route. If you got press man, or a press quarters where it was truly you one-on-one back there, then you would run the stop route. And so there was one in the game where there was a safety out there, but I thought it was more like, cover 4 where he was, one-on-one. It wasn't a hard corner out there. That guy was running with him. And I think Kyler saw it the same way, and he threw the stop, and Marvin runs the go route. And those things, are always going to, lend themselves to having some communication. Especially while you're working through it and you got a young receiver that's trying to figure out, okay, was that cover 2 or was that cover 4? There was a safety back there. So I thought it was cover 2. So I just took off. Trying to learn that sort of thing is not always, as easy as it looks. I can take it on, I can look at it on film and go, well, oh yeah, it was a quarter safety. He didn't come running over the top and the corner ran with you, but when you're running in real time and you got 2 seconds to figure this out, I don't know what he was thinking, but those are the kind of things that, if you're given choice routes, it's going to lead to some of that stuff. So what can you do? You can eliminate some of the choice routes. And we could say, hey, you're going to be locked on that stop route every single time. So we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to have any miscommunication. You're going to hit 12 yards and you're going to turn around. And now Kyler can go, oh, that's cover 2. The corner fell underneath it. I'm not going to read that. And if it's anything else, he can go, I know Marvin's going to stop because he has no other options. Now I can come back and we can connect on some of those things. Does it limit you? Yeah, it limits you with some of the things you want to do and how it can help the offense. But you have to, again, everything is about risk and reward, right? Is it more important for us to have the option and do the right thing against every coverage? Or is it more important when we get the right coverage that both of us know exactly what we're going to do and we can make that play work? Instead of having one, as you guys say, nothing more frustrating than when a ball goes out there and it hits the grass and there's nobody within 10 yards of it. You're like, what just happened there? Like, what a wasted play that was. Nobody wants those kinds of things.
Kurt, we talk a lot about the importance of continuity around the NFL, and the Cardinals have had the same offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator tandem the 3 years Jonathan Gannon has been here. And I can understand the benefits of that, but I also look across the pond and, Seattle has a brand new quarterback, brand new OC. They basically started from scratch after winning 10 games. And what they do, it looks much more, there's much more cohesiveness. It makes it look easier. And so I want to ask your opinion on this. Like, at what point is patience going to run out when it comes to continuity? Because at the end of the day, you've got teams in this own division with The Rams were uber aggressive. We know how the Niners operate with Kyle Shanahan. Like the Cardinals, this rendition of the Arizona Cardinals right now, it feels like year 3, we're not reaching a crescendo. If anything, this team is going backwards offensively.
Yeah. Again, I think, so much of an offense is trying to and figuring out what that identity is. And you like to think that after 3 years together, you would have a feel for what our identity can be. Now, some of that falls into what's your personnel. Maybe we feel like, we want to be this, but our personnel dictates more of that. So now what do we do? And how do we figure that out? And how do we mesh those things together? But yeah, you'd like to think, and again, I'm, being a quarterback guy and knowing that the league is built around the quarterback, you'd like to think that the offense and the coaches at this point, being here a few years with Kyler would be like, okay, this is who Kyler is.
Right.
This is what we think he's best at. Now the offense and what we do in the offseason and what we do in the draft needs to coincide with what we think Kyler is best at, figuring out that identity of what your offense was going to be. And again, I felt like there was a time, last year when, James Conner was going good and they were running the football. And I'm like, okay, I think they've found this identity. It's more of a power run downhill identity with the pass game being a complement to it. And I felt like that was when they were at their best. And over the last couple of games, they've struggled to run the football. Obviously, James is out. We know that Trey's on IR now. And so they're missing some pieces there. But, you start to wonder, okay, that's what we wanted to be. We don't have necessarily the pieces now to be that. So now, again, we're going back and going, okay, how do we find a way to win if we can't, be what we thought we were going to be best at or how we were built going in? But that to me is always the key. I felt the same thing when Cliff was here, that, I kept watching them year after year and I'm like, I still don't know what their offensive identity is. Mm-hmm. Like it was a bunch of, short screens and little things. And I'm like, but I don't know what they are. I don't know what they can hang their hat on. And that to me, every offense has to be able to hang their hat on something. And that's why I thought when they got to that power run game, this is where we're going to hang our hat. This is what we're going to do well. And then we're going to let everything else be a complementary piece. And it just doesn't seem to have worked out, that way this year.
Yeah, let's talk more about that because, they lose Clayton Adams, their offensive line coach. He becomes the OC for the Cowboys. I know Schottenheimer's kind of taken most of the play calling duties, but Dak Prescott is pretty much unscathed for 70 minutes of football in overtime. Micah Parsons takes him down at the line of scrimmage. Clayton Adams looks like he's working out really well in Dallas. The Cardinals offensive line, they even with James, even with Trey, it seems like they're struggling to lean in that identity again. What are you seeing from the kind of the change of offensive line coaches and how they're playing this year compared to the last two?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been some good moments. I thought early in the year they were running the football, fairly well, and they were able to kind of play, more in that mode. I feel like, the last couple of weeks it hasn't been quite as good, but I feel like they have been more in kind of drop back mode, more spread out mode. Than running that, power downhill, attached to tight end type stuff. And so again, just like it goes with your quarterback or every other position, your offensive line as well. I mean, we always want to hope and believe that we have offensive linemen that are good at everything, right? Mm-hmm. We want these pieces that can do whatever we need to throw it 60 times. They're great up front. If we need to run it 60 times, they're great. If we need to pull the guards, they're great. If we need to we'd like to believe that, but just like every other position, you can have some good players, but you also have to play to their strengths. And, I'm not sure dropping back and throwing it all over the yard, doesn't appear to necessarily be their strength. And again, I would have to guess that, hey, we came into the year thinking this is what we were going to be. And James Conner was going to be kind of the heartbeat of our offense again. And it hasn't worked out that way. Now we've got to make some adjustments. And it may take some time for those pieces to make those same adjustments.
Kurt, I don't know if you saw the Cardinals announced a new facility in North Phoenix, and Kyler Murray was asked about it today, a new training facility in the offseason, moving from Tempe. And when K1 was asked about it, he basically said, it looks great. I hope I'm around to see it because it's going down in 2028. Yeah. And, we know how this league operates. And Kyler Murray, to me, I think he can win you a lot of games, but at the same time, I think he would even admit, like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, there are a few elite quarterbacks that can carry a franchise year in and year out. And I don't like having this conversation a quarter of the way in and the team being 2-2 with the offense 28th overall. But like, at what point do you just say like, hey, we've reached a ceiling here, whether it's play caller or it's personnel at the end of the year? How difficult of a conversation is that, given the fact that, like, well, there's not just a better quarterback available to you as a franchise this offseason. Like, I think what happened with Geno and Darnold was a very unique situation. Like, I don't know. How do you foresee this kind of playing out here in Arizona this year?
It is a hard conversation because we've seen some incredible moments from Kyler. But I think the bottom line is that, there hasn't been the consistency that you need and want, with your franchise quarterback. And, and again, I don't know all the factors that go into that. What we get to see is we get to see Sundays, right? Or Thursday. Yeah, we get to see 3 hours. And what I know is that he's a gifted thrower of the football. We know he's a tremendous athlete. We know that he's a playmaker. We've seen him go stretches where he's in the MVP conversation, for half a season. You got to be pretty good to be in the MVP conversation for half a year. But we've also seen at times when he's forced against good teams to have to play more conventional quarterback, he struggled. And, I'm a believer that when you get into the playoffs and you're playing against good teams every single week, they don't let you do what you do best. And they force you to have to go away from your strengths. And I think that's ultimately going to be the conversation is, what, and I think it's a conversation with every quarterback that, goes through an organization, is just that with what, this quarterback does really well, do we believe those are the things that can put us over the top, that can win in the playoffs, that can take us to a championship? And that's the tough conversation that you have to have, whether you're the general manager and the head coach, or the tough conversation, just trying to figure out, like you said, is there somebody else out there that's better than what Kyler is? But still, what's the goal here? Like, what are we trying to do? What do we need at that position to do what we want to do and what we came here to accomplish? And so I do end up at the end of the day, believe it's going to come down to consistency for Kyler this year, seeing the uptick that, we've seen moments, we've seen a half a season. I want to see 17 games. I want to see that there's an uptick in terms of his consistency, playing the game however we need him to play the game, because there are going to be times, and a lot of times, where he's not going to be able to rely solely on the athleticism that he has, and he is going to have to win games for us other ways. And so the consistency in showing us when we get into those kind of games, because there'll be a handful of those games this year, does he show an uptick in his ability to do that? And I, think that's what it's going to come down to is figuring that out. And it is a tough conversation. And I have no idea where the Cardinals are going or what they're even thinking right now. Because right now, as you said, you're 4 weeks into the season. And again, there's so much ability and there's so much talent and there's so many moments that we've seen. But this position is solely about consistency. And, the best in the league are the ones that show up and consistently perform however they're asked to perform. And I think Kyler has been more of a roller coaster through a lot of his career. And you see that consistency. I would not be surprised one bit if they commit to him for the long term. If you don't see that consistency, I think is when you're going to, they're going to have that conversation and figure out what is the best for the organization moving forward.
I think you make a great point about like being able to secure like wins against good teams. Like the Cardinals have struggled the last 2 years beating good teams. They can beat teams that they're supposed to beat.
Right.
But I do wonder, you see like Baker Mayfield's second act, Sam Darnold's second act, these guys that leave, I wonder if there's some hesitancy because, and you listen, that's nobody's fault, right? But at the same time, like you yourself had a tremendous second act. Like, what do you make of that? Sometimes people just need a fresh start?
Sometimes it's the organizations they're in. It doesn't fully fit them. Sometimes I do think it takes longer. Like for me, when Baker was in Cleveland, I thought Baker was a starting quarterback in this league. And I thought he should still be in Cleveland. I thought he was a perfect fit for what they were doing, and they, for whatever reason, didn't think that. Sam Darnold never showed himself to be a consistent starter in this league, whether it was, the different places that he was before Minnesota. But now, maybe it was maturity. Maybe it was finding the right fit for him that allowed him to gain that confidence back and become the player that he is, because obviously he looks really good in Seattle as well. But, I think there's a lot of different factors, right? Some people, it just takes a little bit longer to get there. And that becomes another question is like, 7 years in, is there still room for change? And is there still room for growth? Or do you feel like, when you're this far into it, this is kind of who you are. You've shown us who you are from that perspective. And so, all of that stuff goes in, but you're right. You can look around the league and go, look at Geno Smith. I mean, where he's at and, after, so many years and people think there's no chance. And now he becomes a starter. And so sometimes it's a new start. Sometimes it's, people seeing you from a different light and being able to do different things. Sometimes it's just, hey, it takes me a little while to get there. And then there's other times, as we know, there's guys that just don't ever get to that level, and not that they can't be good quarterbacks or starting quarterbacks, but they may not ever get to and elevate to that great level or that elite level, that everybody is looking for. And so I think it's a hard conversation because nobody knows what's on the other side. And when there are enough examples of a guy that got thrown away and told that he couldn't play, and he comes back and shows people, oh, well, yeah, you can. Like, so now what do we think? Was it the guy? Was it the quarterback? Or was it the system? Or was it a combination of both? We don't know, but you're right. I mean, I think it would scare any general manager. I mean, again, the Giants probably have, their guy, in Jackson Dart, but I'm sure the first couple of weeks of the season, they're going, really? Daniel Jones is the best quarterback in the NFL? Like, where did this come from? Like, what? I don't get it. And so yeah, I'm sure there's going to be all of that going on and all of those conversations. And again, I think the unique thing about Kyler is that he's played at an extremely high level for periods of time. It hasn't been like, oh, it's all been a struggle, and we haven't won any. I mean, he's played at a really high level for periods of time. And so that level of play is in there. But it's just a matter of, I think for me, if you have to play a little bit away from your strengths, can you still give us that consistent level of play at the quarterback position? Because I ultimately think that's what it comes down to, like we're talking about, especially against good teams, down the stretch when games matter, when you're playing against the best defenses in the league, 3 and 4 weeks and trying to chase a championship. Those are the things that become most important.
We'll wrap with this because you talk about your second act, and it was obviously here. You come to the Valley, and the facility that they're in is the same one that you came and played in, or in the early 2000s. It was on the heels of the new stadium, and your team helped people take Cardinals football seriously. And Johnny mentioned this, the 2028 year, they're going to open up this new facility, North Phoenix, just outside of Scottsdale. It's, Michael Bidwill sank $130+ million in this, and it's going to be a Cardinals football mecca. In your experience now as a broadcaster going around and seeing these other facilities, how important is it for the Cardinals organization to have done this, to invested in it, to kind of create this spot that's going to be all about Cardinals football and kind of keep up with the NFL Joneses?
I think it's extremely important. You can go back to when I got here, and I think a lot of people, looked at the organization a certain way. When I'm talking about people, I'm talking about not just, fans and people in the media, but players as well. Because so much of, do I want to go to this place, is what the perception is, what they're willing, to give up, what they're willing to go out and do to build a winning football team. And so, building the new stadium, whereas, when I got here, we're playing in Sun Devil Stadium. You're playing in a college stadium, when it's 120 degrees outside and all of that. And so they build the stadium, and, that shows one thing. I know, the facility that they've had now, they've made upgrades to it. They got the bubble there now. And so you've watched, from the time I got here to where they are now, they're investing in the community, they're investing in the team, they're investing in the infrastructure. So when free agents come out here and see, they're like, oh, this is a first-class organization that is committed to doing whatever the players need to be successful. And that is such a huge part of the process for players, is I want to know that I have an organization that will invest in me and will do all the things and present me with all the opportunities to be the best version of myself. I just think, when I go to the Cardinals facility now and just, the nutritionists and, the food that they have in the facility compared to what we had when I was there, I mean, that's a difference maker. So you're starting to see that, check boxes in all these areas of this is important. This is important to our players, so it's important to us. And so I think all of those things weigh heavy when we're talking about the big picture, and we're talking about building a culture, and we're talking about making Arizona an attractive place for free agents to come. There's a lot of blessings about Arizona. It's why I'm still here after I retired. But at the end of the day, when free agents go and want to go somewhere and figure out where their next team is, they want to find an organization that is committed to winning. And this is just another step in that direction of saying, hey, we are committed to doing everything we possibly can to give our players the best chance to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Kyler has probably the same locker you had, and Marv has the same one that Fitz has, but also it's sad, hey, upgrade these things and it's coming. So I think it's a great point by Kurt Warner. You're going to be across the pond next week. Looking forward to it. Denver and the Jets. But Kurt, it's always great to catch up with you, man. Tremendous insight.
You got it, guys. I look forward to catching up when I head back.
Safe travels, my guy. The Hall of Famer Kurt Warner, number 13, joins us. So fortunate to have Kurt and his insight here on PHNX Cardinals. We're taking a break, coming right back. It's PHNX.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff from Kurt.
Yep, absolutely. We want to talk to you, speaking of awesome, about our friends at Bet365. Never ordinary. Download the Bet365 app today. I feel like this is going to be our most profitable week yet on the app. We've done pretty well. We're over 60%, which, knock on wood, like professional gamblers here. But you should see a robust slate. We're going to do hold or fold the line on Friday with our guy Damon Dog. But again, we've got Thursday Night Football, Mac Jones frauding it up against with the 49ers against the LA Rams. And you can bet on it right now with our friends at Bet365. Again, if you're a winner, your team goes up by 17 points. You're getting that early payout offer. No matter the end result, no matter the money line, that's for the NFL and college football. Again, get that right now. Up to 17 points, you're cashing out. Bet365, breaking news, new customers getting $200 in bonus bets when you win or lose. Just bet $5, deposit $10. PHNX 365 is the bonus code. Place again, $5, get $200. You can use them on anything. Player props, futures, spreads, totals. It's never ordinary with Bet365. You got to be 21 years and older, physically located here in the great state of Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov for more info.
Somebody was pointing out that you can get into the Cardinals home game on Sunday against the Titans for $44. $44. Lower bowl, not just in the door. That's lower level. That's how bad the Titans are. The vibes, they got to get them up on Sunday. It starts with you getting a good ticket. $21 gets you in the door with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today and use the code PHNX and you'll get $20 off your first order. So get in the door for $21, get $20 off with the promo code PHNX. You're going to a Cardinals game for $1? $1? Plus you can get a cheap parking pass. I've gotten a parking pass to a Cardinals game for as low as $4. It's unreal. Game Time's got options for everything, whether it's a live show you want to go to, the band you want to see, stand-up comedian, or it's sporting events like the Merc. They're in the finals. You want to go to see the WNBA finals game? You can do it with Game Time and do it for the best and lowest price possible. Check it out right now. Download the Game Time app today. Use the code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today.
Hit that like button. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Banner show kicking things off with the Hall of Famer Kurt Warner. We got Brian Baldinger stopping by later this week. We're so fired up all the content that we have that we kind of glossed over the breaking news here. Top of the show, the Arizona Cardinals have announced, Trey Benson, running back, has gone on injured reserve. Now, if you're a fan of this little fanboy podcast, you knew we alluded to his absence as a multi-week injury earlier this week, and we were kind of thrown off by Adam Schefter's tweet earlier today, Bo, that it's like, hey, this, it's not as serious as initially thought, or some rendition of that. And nope, he's on injured reserve. So here's how we're going to treat this situation, like anything with the Cardinals, is he could come back. I'm not going to sit here and say like he'll be back at a specific time. Like the Cardinals, clearly they do their own thing with regard to injuries, and they do the best thing they believe for the players. So I'm going to put that out there. But I think it's foolish on our part to potentially try to project like, when is he coming back? Like, he has a knee issue and he's going on IR and he plays running back. It's like they're going to have somebody else take over his role internally or externally, Bo.
Right. Yeah. And we'll get into those options. And of course, we'll hear from Kyler. We'll hear from Marv. We'll hear from Michael Carter, part of the options internally that they could turn to. But, and then Schefter followed up once Gannon revealed the actual news that he's going to be on IR. That is an actual, 4 games. Four games he'll be out. So Schefter's even following up and saying he's out 4 to 6 weeks. It's like, well, they actually have 4 games in 5 weeks. So as far as Benson's concerned, he's out 5 to 6 weeks with this meniscus issue that he suffered. So Cardinals, they're down big in the running back room. And yeah, as you mentioned, like, we were preparing everybody for this, like Amari DeMarcado, Michael Carter, Bam Knight, and then they signed Darius Johnson. Like, all the writing was on the wall. Like, it really is unfortunate that just a game removed from James Conner going down, Trey Benson goes down the following week. So Cardinals, they already they have to make changes offensively on the fly. Now the difficulty level is increased as they do it down their top 2 running backs.
Here's why I think they're going to be okay, is because the DeMarcado and Michael Carter have been in this system for 3 years. Like, this is their 3rd year with Drew Petzing. And like I want to say, like, the most important thing is, like, do you know where to be? Like, how many times do we see like new backs? It's like, I don't care how talented you are. You miss a bliss pickup, you run the wrong way. Like, I feel good. They know the playbook, right?
Yeah.
That's important. I also, I want to knock a guy while he's out, and I like Trey Benson, but just from like the first time he got to the Cardinals, he looked fine. He was not somebody that took over James Conner's role. And they re-signed James Conner. So I think they can get through this. I think Trey Benson's a good player. I think he did a nice job on Thursday. I thought he caught the football well. But like, I think that you can weather this storm more so than losing a franchise left tackle, losing a starting defensive tackle, hell, like Will Johnson's injury. Like, running backs, to me, like, that you should be able, like Bruce Arians did it, flipping every year.
Yeah.
Get Kerwin Williams off the practice squad. He'd go for 180,
right.
in St. Louis against the Rams. I was at the game. It's like, the problem is not the Cardinals personnel. The problem is schematics, losing their what we can now unequivocally say their best position coach is in Dallas, as Bo alluded to with Kurt Warner. So, like, I loved what I saw from Bam Knight. DeMarcado is a good player. We know what Michael Carter can do. Like, they can do a backfield by committee and be fine.
Yeah.
Like, but here's what they can't do, and we're going to hammer this point home. And I know Jonathan Gannon said it's not going to change what they do. It will change what they can't. They're not a power running team anymore. Nothing to me this year says, from their offensive line to their play calling to now their personnel, you can't support being a power running team anymore. That's over.
Right. Yeah. I think that's just running from it a little bit. It's just press conference speak. As far as press conference speak, we heard from Michael Carter himself about the remaining running backs.
Crazy. First, shout out to my guys, James and Trey. Prayers, they'll be back soon. You know what I mean? Like, in the grand scheme, it's not too much time off, so, especially for Trey. For me, I'm blessed to have the opportunity to just play ball again. You know what I mean? I'm so blessed. I'm thankful, and I hate that it came this way. You know what I mean? But I am grateful that I do get the opportunity.
Michael Carter, wearing an Arizona Cardinals uniform when he's been active in 10 games, Johnny. This is a guy that averages, 4.8 yards per carry. 4.8 yards per carry. When Amari DeMarcado got his 2 starts back-to-back in 2023 when he was an undrafted rookie free agent, he was over 4 yards per carry or 3.9 and like 4.8 yards per carry. Like that'll do. That'll get you to where you need to go as far as like setting up the run game. Like if you're getting 4 downs on first down or 4 yards on first down or close to it, should be in decent shape to be able to run an efficient offense.
It's a good group. They'll be fine. Like, again, James Conner and Trey Benson, as good as we think they are, James is an elite player. Like, they weren't running well behind what the Cardinals are putting out there. It's why people say it's an expendable position. It's why people talk about you just run them into the ground and don't extend backs, which is a tough reality. Again, we're going to talk about trade options around the corner. But I just would preface it by saying, like, number one, do they have the run game concepts to support a trade? Number two, like, this team's got to show you, like, they can earn the right to be in discussion for said player. Like last year when we were talking about a pass rusher, we're going to go through the options. Plus, you hear from K1 and Marv. It's PHNX. But first, let me talk to you about all of our many sponsors, including our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Can't wait to be back out there for one of our many watch parties. Again, so fired up. This Friday, October 3rd, again, the 7 p.m. Straight Game podcast returns from Gila River. This is unbelievable. It's Mike Bibby, Eddie House, and Ty Ellis bring the heat with Straight Game with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. Unbelievable. I mean, Gila's big time, folks. If you haven't been out there, it's got unbelievable vibes, accommodations, and more. Tickets start for just $10. You can find it right now at Play at Gila. And then just like if you need an avenue to, have a weekend out with the fam, with your wife, with your significant other, 4,500 slots, live table games, catch all the action at the largest sportsbook casino in Arizona. Again, that's at Wild Horse Pass. They've got 4 locations right now. Unprecedented level of entertainment and excitement awaits you. Can't wait to be back there. Big thanks to our friends at Gila.
Love that. Gila River Resorts and Casinos achieve legendary status. How about legendary status? My goodness. How about Mountain America Credit Union? It's matching your checking account with your lifestyle. Your My Style checking for your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Get perks from where you bank and you put your money. It's Mountain America Credit Union that's going to do it for you as far as giving you restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel events, and so much more. Hit the website, macu.com/mystyle to apply. Yeah, you can do it online from the comfort of just sitting on your couch. Just apply for a new checking account. Get the macu.com/mystyle. Get that MyStyle checking account for your lifestyle. Now, membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration activation. Terms and conditions and exclusions apply. But sign up today. Get the perks. Otherwise, you're missing out on it at Mountain America Credit Union, the MyStyle checking account for your lifestyle at macu.com/mystyle.
Everybody hit that like button. We're talking trade options for the Cardinals running back group. And I want to turn the clocks back, let's say 3 years ago, October 20th, 2022. Does anybody know what happened that day?
Was Michael Carter released from the Jets?
No. It's a tough one. The San Francisco 49ers were 4-4. And they since rattled off, I think, 9 straight games after the fact. They traded for Christian McCaffrey because they felt like, and I looked this up before the show, they had a championship level team. And they proved to be right. They went to a Super Bowl. They were in NFC championship games year in and year out. Their roster supported it. The coaching staff supported it, had a pedigree, had a track record.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we fast forward 3 weeks from now and the Cardinals beat the Packers, and they beat the Colts, and they win this weekend, and they're humming before the bye, and they need a piece, then I will come on the show and say trade for Alvin Kamara. He's 30 years old, minimal 2-year deal, runs through next year. It's like, yeah, get Alvin Kamara here. Absolutely. Trade a 3rd or a 4th round pick. If the Cardinals continue to stink it up starting this weekend offensively, do not invest premium picks for a team right now. Doesn't matter if it was me or you running the football or Adrian Peterson. That you have to show us that you deserve it. You got to go out there and earn it. I think their backs are more than capable to show that right now in the intermediate. But I mean, like, there'll be backs available, and there'll be teams that are saying, give us a day 3 pick. Are the Cardinals going to show their GM and their owner that they deserve that kind of investment? That remains to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, prove it, right? Like we were saying last year at this time, the pass rush. It's like, hey, you got to show that you're a pass rusher away.
Right.
There were many pass rushers away. There were many defensive linemen away, and maybe just holding steady was the no move was the best move. But as far as this goes, like if you can push things, if you can take care of business against this terrible team coming to town, the Titans, as the 2025's worst NFL team, and then you're able to maybe split or, who knows, against the Colts and the Packers, then you're starting to inch closer to the trade deadline. The Jets are a god-awful team. And Breece Hall is in his final year of his deal, of his rookie deal. That's the only guy that I can see that like resembles, and Kamara, but kind of resembles, at 24 years old, somebody that could give you some juice, now and then potentially look forward, is this somebody you want to retain? But there's nobody like, because you got James under contract, that's, it's not tough to get out from under. And then you got Trey Benson, who's maybe going to be back as early as this season. A Breece Hall, you could kind of get that duo, that tandem back instead of James Conner. It would be Breece Hall. So, but Jacob saying, Breece Hall would be legendary, but it's not a move you make tomorrow. It's not a move that you make next week. It's one that you kind of have to wait and see if the rest of your squad is just that running back piece away.
Right. Can you take an offense that is trending toward like B+ and say, well, Breece Hall or Alvin Kamara gets us to an A, and it's unlocking things and it's a great fit. Like you think about like Kurt Warner and his comments about like, what do they do well? They do nothing well offensively right now. And it's like, who's a good complement to Kyler Murray? Like, I don't know. I don't know right now who's a good. I don't know anything. I'm sitting here and I'm befuddled every week. We go into Sunday football and it's like, what am I watching?
Right.
So yeah, I'm like Breece Hall is a good player. He's going to cost you a pretty good draft pick. He might cost you a day 2 draft pick. Are you doing that for a team right now that, like, my confidence level with the offensive coaching staff is about as low as it can get. You have to win me back before the bye. Right. I have to be sitting here after the bye being like, man, Drew's really done a nice job. He's pressing all the right buttons. He's got Kyler and Marv clicking. Everybody's comfortable. If it's anything but that, no thanks. Because I'm not trading for a back and giving him to Drew Petzing when Drew's not going to be here potentially come January. If this team goes 7-10, takes a big dump because the offense is 28th in the NFL, you trade for a pass rusher, you pin your ears back and go. You trade for certain positions. It's easy to see, like in an off. It's a passing league. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I want to enable any habits. I don't know. Like, that sounds terrible. I don't want to give you Breece Hall because what if they start clicking in the passing game and they trade for Breece Hall and it's like, Breece, get ready. You're gonna love it here. 30 carries, my man.
Right.
It's like, no, go back to what you're doing.
Like, Drew's facing like caffeine addiction. You're like, here's a 30 rack of Mountain Dew for you, Drew. It's like, no, don't enable him. Don't enable him. No, like, this is right now, this is maybe the medicine that the Cardinals offense needs. But they have to show progress as far as the passing game. Because it's like, hey, when you're running game, because that's our only offense, that was the only thing we ever had. It's like, no, then this is just too broken to merit any kind of a move. So, like, I see, Tyler Algier in there, and like I think there's going to be decent options. Like, there's going to be a lot of teams that are just drawn dead by the trade deadline. Running back position is one that's not going to like break the draft capital bank for you. Like, it is something I think you could reach back, say, hey, here's a 4th round pick, keep the change. And this is somebody that we could plug and play potentially, but you have to earn it. Like, the passing game can't stay the status quo and say, well, we still can't run the ball and the passing game still looks like crap. Let's just see if we can get this thing going back on the ground. It's like, no. Then
like, card and just start swiping. It's like, Austin Ford's not going to play that game.
No.
Also, like, you made a great point. It's like, hey, we run the ball. It's who we are. Yeah. No, it's who you were.
Right.
So the 2025 Arizona Cardinals don't do anything well offensively. Every coach says, well, don't talk about last year. Okay, well then Cardinals can't abide by that. You were a great running team in 2024 and 2023. And now it's been exposed. We know why. You're not a good running team anymore, at least right now. Your magic elixir went to Dallas and transformed the Cowboys, and now we struggle up front. It's like it's just, like, don't Cardinal fans in general, too smart. We can see position coach leaves. You suck now running the football. Dallas is good at it. Connect the dots. You have all the same players. I mean, it's just don't pee on my head and tell me it's raining. Not a good situation. Don't do it. Don't pee on me.
No. Yeah, it's gross. All right, let's get to the franchise quarterback. Let's get to Marvin Harrison Jr. Hear from them here on the other side. PHNX Cardinals.
Getting gross here. It's gross. We got to get gross because we have to watch gross offensive football. I'll tell you what's not gross though is when we're going to be out at Rally House.
It's usually the leg, not the head.
I'm so excited. Is it the head? It's not the leg. I butchered that. I guess, a lot of people probably wouldn't reach that far. Rally House is the go-to spot to shop for all your local Arizona team gear with tens of thousands of products to choose from. We're going to be at Rally House Friday afternoon. I'm trying to cop a rivalry jersey for free. That's my goal, on top of having a great time with everybody. Let's come out to Rally House in Glendale. 4:30 live show. We're going to be hanging out. There's going to be phenomenal selection, by the way. They've got drinkware, signage, coolers, Cardinal gear. And again, it's the one by the stadium, so they got those rivalry jerseys. Find your local Rally House location and shop their entire product assortment line. rallyhouse.com today.
For more than 15 years, Access Insurance, the agency of Arizona, has delivered affordable, reliable car insurance for drivers across the Phoenix metro area. They make it simple to get covered, accepting different IDs, driving histories, and license types while partnering with over 20 carriers so you can compare rates and find the best that fits your budget. With bilingual agents at 9 Valley locations, Access is part of the community and ready to help you discover coverage and discounts you deserve. Plus, they accept both cash and card for your convenience. Access Auto, trusted by the community, rooted in Phoenix, and ready to help. All statements are subject to terms, exclusions, and conditions of applicable policy. In other instances, all current policy contract language prevails. Coverage is subject to individual policy holders meeting underwriting qualifications and state availability. Other terms, conditions, and exclusions may apply.
Great boys are back.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's get serious. This is serious.
Yeah.
Cardinals, Marv. Yeah, hit that like. People are really taking me to task in the chat over the butchering of that. And I honestly, I was saying that out loud. I thought I was crushing that analogy. I thought I crushed it. Cardinal. We're trying to keep things light as the Cardinals are in dark days right now offensively. What are you doing? Get it together. This is a famous
chat is just on fire right now.
Appreciate
it. Just give them a little sliver and they just will pound you. It's great.
Listen, we're the most humble boys for a reason. Kyler Murray keeping it humble. Yeah, smack that like button for the P-boys here. All right, here we go. Kyler Murray talked about the slow starts, and I feel like this is a theme every week. Let's hear from Kyler Murray and discuss.
Yeah, we got to come out faster. I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you what it was, as far as in the moment. And even hindsight, like we got to show up to the stadium ready to play, because it's putting us behind the eight ball, against good defenses that we've played so far. We can't, it won't suffice going forward.
Last year, even amidst their struggles, they would come out of the gates like their game script was actually strong. They would score touchdowns. They would score opening drive touchdowns. I feel like they did several of the first few weeks, and then obviously the offense would get a little stagnant. We're not even seeing that. Like, what did they have? Like they didn't have it in New Orleans.
No,
they obviously get the scoop and score from the defense against Carolina. They got a field goal from the offense in their first offensive series. Week 3 against San Francisco, no, right? And then against Seattle, definitely didn't do it. So. Like, yeah, they need to start fast. Like, it needs to look up to speed out of the gate for the Cardinals.
Yeah, they stink at it. They're just bad at it. They didn't score a touchdown in the first half against the Niners. They didn't score a touchdown for 3.5 quarters against the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a good offensive team.
I feel like Carolina, they scored the touchdown offensively.
It was late though.
Right? It was to Michael Wilson, wasn't it?
At the end of the first half.
Yeah. Waning seconds of the half.
And they only got the ball back because there was a bad either missed
the last 3 games
or something. Yeah, incomplete pass. They haven't had a drive where you're like, that was a great drive.
Yeah.
Or here's a 60-yard bomb. Or here's a yak play for a tutty. Like
was the only drive. That was the only drive was 45 yards to Marv against the Saints in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were able to hit Marv for the 1-yard score later in the drive. In the first half, where you're like, oh, okay. I like that. I like what I saw. Outside of that, it was like penalties or negative plays or just overall ineffectiveness.
Listen, we're reaching a point where, and I thought about this when I watched Kyler's presser today. It's like we talked about consistency all offseason with him in this offense. Like, the more this is going to happen, the more it's like, no, just that you're going to fire everybody and trade players. Like, we're not going to sit here. Bo and I aren't doing this. Cardinal fans aren't doing this in 2026. This is it. Either this group gets it together and figures it out, or they will have to blow up that side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I asked Kurt about Kyler Murray. Like, I think Kyler Murray can get you the playoffs. I think he can win you double-digit games. But I'm like, whatever the infrastructure is right now, and that's why I'm hoping that reverting back to 10, 11 personnel fixes this.
Mm-hmm.
It's your last trump card to play. Play it. Please play it. Because right now we're sitting here every week, and it's like, whatever you think that you're doing to fool opposing defenses ain't working. You're losing the battle against Saints defensive coordinators and Panther defensive coordinators. Robert Saleh undressed you with no players. It's like I'm saying, I don't care what the reason is. I know, and Kyler was being authentic, and I'm not being a smartass. He's like, I wish I could tell you guys what the reason is. It doesn't even matter. I don't care what it is. Just like when Drew said yesterday, he's just like, well, that miscommunication happens around the NFL. I don't care about other teams. I care about you scoring touchdowns. You can't do it. You don't do it enough.
Full transparency. We already had our interview with Baldy, and you guys are going to be able to see that. Look for that tomorrow. And when I told Baldy about that answer, you have to tune in and hear his response because it's unbelievable. You're going to hear some more from Kyler and from Marvin Harrison Jr. here in overtime. That was terrible. That was terrible. And then the raining comment. Let's get to Kyler. What else we have Kyler talking about? Obviously the big topic of conversation was his rapport with Marvin Harrison Jr. at the first half versus the second half. Kyler was asked about him and Marv.
I mean, any quarterback to speak to, I feel like when you got a guy make plays like that, it obviously gives you confidence to keep going back at him, keep going to him. But I mean, like I said, my confidence didn't waver. Obviously we had the 2 mishaps in the first half, but I'm counting on him. He knows that. He knows I got full faith in him, and I'm gonna continue to.
First half, obviously couldn't go worse, and then come back that second half, and obviously get a good comeback. I wanted to get the overtime, but we got the overtime to make a chance to really win the game. I think the offense is clicking. I don't have a lot of momentum going, but just didn't get the ball back there.
So I had asked Marv during that media scrum, I said, have you ever faced that much adversity in one football game before? And he had to think about it. And he was like, no, I hadn't. I mean, and that makes sense when he's the caliber of athlete, but that's probably for Marvin Harrison Jr. As far as playing the game of football, the lowest of lows he's ever felt.
This is where you just have to get down and pray to the football gods that was a turning point, not only for Marv, for this offense. That, we did hundreds of shows this offseason about personnel upgrades and draft and free agency and pass rush and whatever. but Bo and I came back consistently to one common theme. Kyler and Marv. If that works this year, they will make the playoffs. They have a chance to win the NFC West, and it looks as broken as ever. And guess what? The offense stinks now. So you just got to hope that what they found in the second half, the Seahawks have number one defense in the NFL. Devin Witherspoon's a top 5 corner, and Marv, got his and then some in the second half.
Yeah.
Do that again.
Yeah.
Don't wait. It's like my co-host says, don't wait until October 23rd to do it again. Like, Tennessee is the worst team in the NFL. Marvin Harrison Jr. needs 10 targets. Trey McBride needs 10 targets. That's it. I don't care if you think you can win other ways. That is the only way you can win moving forward. It's like breaking bad habits, Bo. Yeah. It's like, don't lean on what you feel like has worked for you in the past, because it's got a shelf life, and we've seen that. You can fraud it up against New Orleans and Carolina. You're not beating the teams that you need to beat this year for people to remain employed. So come out and force it to 2 players in particular, and Michael Wilson, and get into a position where you feel like this will translate to good teams.
Right. You're just kind of you're laying the foundation, or you're building up momentum going up against a Colts secondary in the next week that is very vulnerable. Look, right. L'Jarius Sneed, is that the best Titans corner that they have? Like, make him regret even more so forcing his way out of Kansas City. Like, make him on Sunday just be like,
forgot about him.
God, I made a mistake. He's already probably feeling that way. But, like, just pick on him. Like, do that. Go against Roger McCreary, who we looked at from Auburn out of the draft. Like, just pick them apart. Go out, take and parlay the second half with Marv, with this passing attack, get Michael Wilson more involved, get Greg Dortch more involved, continue to target Trey as much as you can, because they shouldn't be able to hang with you. And if they do, that's a problem. That emphasizes the problem even more so.
Goodbye. Culture matters, and Jonathan Gannon has remade this culture along with Monty, and they're in a great spot with the buy-in of their players. You will lose if you lose to Tennessee, or if you look bad against the Titans and you win, you'll get a level of insecurity with the rest of this team. Like, do we have the right people leading us? Do we have the right players in-house? You can do that at the end of the Cliff Kingsbury era, because we know what? We're going to tear it all down. Mm-hmm. Monty Ossenford, we reference it 2023 all the time. You ripped it out from the studs. It was a gut job. Minimal players are left because none of them could play. The Isaiah Simmons of the world. And now it's like, okay, you've had 3 off seasons to build this team the way you wanted to. And here's the most frustrating part. I know Walter Nolan hasn't played, and Darius has been disappointed. It's just like, all your offensive pieces are healthy. Mm-hmm. I know outside of the running backs, but come on. And your offense stinks, and it's the reason this team isn't winning. And you can't use injuries as an excuse. And you have all your coaches. How does that, I would love to see, analytics broken down. You've had the same coordinator as a franchise for 3 years in a row. You have the same quarterback for 3 years in a row. You've only added pieces, and you've gotten worse.
Right.
That's not a good trend. That's a trend that gets people fired in January, come Black Monday Monday in the NFL. That's a trend where people and players are shipped out of town. You want to be a part of that trend? This is an anomaly right now, what's going on. And it's if it cannot continue. If it does, then we're going to have to come on the show every week and we're just going to keep it real. Yeah. We're not going to lie to you guys.
Yeah. Very rarely, does it happen with offenses with this much talent.
Yeah.
Often it's because they're devoid of it. Right. And guys, their production falls off a cliff, and This is such a weird situation where they're not an effective offense with 4th overall pick, 1st overall pick quarterback, with 6th overall pick at tackle, who's Paris Johnson's having a great season and probably the outlier as far as the offense goes. Michael Wilson, what we've seen, he's capable of doing, having kind of an X factor like Greg Dortch. It really is strange that they can't generate any consistent offense. Let's hear from Paris Johnson Jr., about the lack of explosives in the Cardinals passing or just in their offense overall?
We're excited, this game we have to run off the ball, to put that on tape, put that fight on tape, that finish and a strain on tape, because now we have no option. You know what I mean? We lost with too many bats. We have no option, so we have to get that thing going in the run game. And then give the quarterback all the time he needs, so he can be back there and make all the fun plays. We'll see on Instagram here soon. So that's what we want. Some Instagram-worthy plays.
Instagram-worthy plays. That's the entertainment part of this. That's why I think a big part of the fan base is down, is because they were expecting, when you drafted Marvin Harrison Jr., the big passing game explosives were going to come. And now it's just like, it's like watching paint dry as far as this offense play football.
Yeah, you're going to need an Instagram filter for this offense, because it's not. This is not one you want to watch. I want to run through. You tell me, are the Cardinals in a position to make excuses? These are the bottom 5 offenses in the NFL. The Bengals are the worst offense.
Mm-hmm.
They lost their franchise quarterback. Okay, we get that. Tennessee Titans, second worst. They're a disaster franchise. Rookie quarterback, head coach that's going to get fired.
Did you see the splits between Cam Ward and Will Levis?
Are they the same?
No, Will Levis is significantly better.
Oh, man.
Will Levis was absolutely just crushed and roasted last year, and his numbers compared to Cam Ward are
night and day.
Yeah. Give me mayonnaise eating boy.
The Eagles are third to last, but they're averaging 27 points per game. They have big leads. Again, they're an outlier. The Steelers have an old Aaron Rodgers, and they're just trying to fraud it up to the playoffs. And then there's the Cardinals with the Browns, who have no quarterback. Tua and the Dolphins, who have been a disaster. Mike McDonald's going to get fired. Houston Texans, who haven't found an OC in 2 years.
Yeah.
Carolina.
They beat Tennessee 26-0. You need one of those performances. That would go a long way.
You look at the Cardinals among those teams, and people are probably like, what is going on here?
Right.
And then people watch the team on Thursday, and people are like, this is what you guys have to consume every week? And that's how you get people running with the notion that Marv's a bust and Kyler's too small. It's just but I've seen these players succeed elsewhere. If you're bringing all these players together and it's not working here, maybe it's a you problem. Look in the mirror. Kyler Murray wasn't a perfect player in his last year under Cliff Kingsbury, but he was a functional player offense. He could throw the ball downfield. Remember that play against the Raiders? It's just and he and Cliff weren't even speaking at the end of that. So, and he had no wideouts that year. Hopkins was hurt again, Hollywood Brown. So I don't know. I will come on the postgame show on Sunday if they get their act together and say, we're back. If the offense looks good, build off of this.
You would, if they're one of the Titans, you'd say?
If Kyler Murray throws for 3 touchdowns and the offense looks good, yeah.
Okay.
Because we were in New Orleans.
Remember when Kyler had 5 total touchdowns against the Titans team to open a season?
That was a Titans team that was number 1 seed in the AFC. They were a playoff team that year at least.
Yeah.
They had good players. The plays that Kyler made that supported his 5 touchdowns were unbelievable plays. MVP level plays.
Mm-hmm.
And if I got to watch Kyler Murray against the Titans this weekend and it's 4-yard checkdowns, I'm going to be out on this offense. I'm going to be out.
I thought you were already out on this offense.
I like the players.
Yeah. Do we have anything else from our time out there at the facility today, Noah? What else have we not gotten into? Marv on his touchdown celebration where he looked emotional.
Thanking God, really. That's probably the biggest thing. I always thank him, but that one meant a little more to me.
Yeah. Marv's an easy guy to root for. And anytime there's a player of his caliber that comes to a franchise and he underperforms, but people see the talent, they see the smile, it's just fair or not, people are going to turn to the person that's in charge of getting him the football. And that's Kyler Murray and Drew Petzing. People are going to be critical of both those individuals. And Marv's left himself susceptible because he had a really bad Thursday night first half. But I'm going to remain hopeful that following the second half, that he can I use this term like tongue in cheek, but like hidden in an afternoon game against Tennessee, like build off of that and torch the Titans for about
Yeah.
20.
Yeah. Let's hear from Kyler, Marv about, and I think Paris about this run game.
Versatility, obviously with James and Trey, you know what you're getting. Super confident in those two guys. But I'm excited. These three guys, they get opportunity to prove themselves, show the skill set, show that they can play the game, more than what they were getting, So I'm excited for those guys. I know they're looking forward to the opportunity.
Yeah, the running back room is just taking a hit there. That's very unfortunate. Obviously, running the ball is a big part of our game for sure. So, I trust the guys to go step in there with Van and Mike and Mari out there and make some plays for us. But obviously, it definitely takes a hit for us.
Yeah, I mean, you're losing two guys that are huge on offense. They're huge parts of the run game. For us, obviously, they run the ball, obviously. It's like what you saw on the offensive line, because you know how they run, you know they push it. You guys have that connection. How you know they're going to play off of certain assignments, as far as our blocks go. But I know that we'll have the right guys around here to keep it going. I have so much faith in all the backs that we have in the locker room that I think guys are going to look around and be like, we've seen these guys show up and make plays, and we know that we're not going to sit here and just think that the run game is gone. We got 2 more guys that are going to kill us for us up front. I'm excited for the world to see what we can.
Oh, lots of confidence in the guys remaining. And we said, it's a steep. I think it was a steep drop off from James, but is it a steep drop off from Benson? I know that the home run hitting ability was there with Benson. He had 2 big explosives, on week 1 and then a couple weeks later. But we've seen Demicado play well. We've seen Michael Carter play really well and be able to kind of spark the offense. So especially with what we want to see from the passing game, it should all be enough, especially this week. But then the following week against Indianapolis, and then we'll see. We'll have the conversation about Green Bay hopefully after some decent performances. But they have to happen first.
Yeah. Listen, back to our earlier conversation. I don't really think it matters who's running the football right now. There's so many other elements that are dragging this team down offensively, but I'm excited. DeMercado, I think, is a really nice complementary player, and Michael Carter deserves a shot. So couple new members here we're going to get to. But first, the solo super chat of the day, the ghost of one-legged Mac Jones, $4.99. Now every time it rains, I'm going to think about Johnny. That's nice of you. Be careful. Head on a swivel. Goes to Mac Jones. Head on a swivel.
And then we also have new supporters joining the show. How about this one? DL. Welcome, DL.
Thank you, DL. We appreciate that. And then Che Tafoya earlier today became a member as well. So big thanks to all of our many supporters in the chat. Just $5. It's going to get you a bevy of elite emojis, including my chugging snafu. Don't use that one, though. It hurts my feelings. I don't want to see it.
Use it the most, actually.
Supporters Club right now. Great way to support us. We're also running a Die Hard sale. All of our merch at All City Network. Become a Die Hard right now. So many great packages and perks that come with that, including our guy who's writing just unbelievable content right now. If you like Cardinals written content, and if you're in a position where you want to be able to watch what we do here every day and then read supplemental work, check out the work of our guy, Alex, at gophnx.com. He does rapid reaction, instant reaction for post games on Sunday. And then he usually cranks out at least 1 to 2 more articles within the next 24 hours. So fired up to have Alex. We announced
the machine.
The season. Yeah. The Cardinals have been a disappointment this season. Alex has been anything but.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you're following along on social media at Alex AZ, Alex D'Agostino, our writer over here who's doing great work, and get full access to it. Become a diehard. We got the sale going on. Make sure to really kind of take advantage of that. What was a couple housekeeping things.
Okay.
Gifting a membership. Injury report. Let's take a look at this. So it was out there today. Will Johnson has practiced now back-to-back days. Looks like Sub-Zero is ready to go.
Nice.
He was limited according to the report. You had a rest day for Beach, Darius Robinson, he's got that pec. He did not practice. We'll see what D-Rob's status is. I think tomorrow is important for D-Rob going forward. He posted on his Instagram, Johnny.
Yeah.
And, some people took it as like him, like trust in the next chapter or something. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if it's as
Cryptic
cryptic.
tweets?
I think he would have been IR'd if his pec was going to keep him out the rest of the season. I don't think this is going to be a long-term injury, but is it going to keep him out against the Titans? Do they need him against the Titans?
No.
Probably not. Any other problem areas here? I don't really see any.
I've got a problem.
Yeah. What's up?
I've got a problem area. It's the defensive line group from this year and last year in terms of the first-round defensive tackles. No Darius, and now Walter Nolan. We thought there'd be a chance Bo he could be activated. I'm sure you're getting to this. He was not today.
Right. There was the off chance. I speculated. I was wrong. Maybe where they were trying to increase the runway. Him and BJ Ojulari looks like it's not going to be this week for those guys to have their practice window open. So yeah, and when you look ahead at the schedule, Johnny, it's Indy after this week, Green Bay, bye week, Monday night against Dallas. It just, I don't think we're going to see, it just does it with no training camp, at least for Walter Nolan and BJ Ojulari, I would say the same. I don't think we're going to see those guys before Monday Night Football.
Disappointing because Calais and Dalvin Tomlinson are playing so well, but are you asking too much of those players as the season goes on? That's something to watch. Traquan McHurdles, $10. Thank you so much for your super chat. It's been a hot minute, but I have to show love to the guys and the chat. Best Cardinals show period. Well, thank you so much, Traquan. We appreciate that. We love doing the show. We appreciate all of our many supporters. You guys make it worth it. This team, one day they're going to repay all of us with some winning football, but you guys are more than enough in the interim. So we appreciate that.
Yeah. D-Rob getting called a bust by Didi. I think that's a little bit early to throw around the B word for D-Rob. He had a sack in the last game. Did a good play.
He's playing better. He's not a violent player right now, and that's tough. Like you watch some of these other defensive linemen, they just look much more violent. The 2024 draft class right now is not good. Like that's where I'm at. He's
calling Nolan a bust? My God, guys.
It's tough because you watch these other teams in the division, they get instant contributors. Here's the good news. Will Johnson, not a bust, back to playing. And listen, I don't think it's hyperbole to say like Will Johnson's one of your best players. So get him back out there, let him wreak havoc, get his confidence going. And listen, Cardinals have a lot of issues right now. Their defense, I'm not worried about it. The offense is it's what keeps me up at night, Bo.
I'm not worried about people not getting their Cardinals content tomorrow when we're off because we've got a fresh Brian Baldy interview that's going to be hitting the YouTube streets. Make sure you're subscribed to PHNX Sports. Got it set up with alerts. What are we going to do? 4:30 for Baldy? Let's just do that.
Yeah.
Look for it. We'll have Baldy locked and loaded for you, and then we'll be back with a full-on game preview episode on Friday. But of course, the fun never stops. Make sure you're following Johnny at Johnny Venerable. Follow me at Bo Brack, and follow the show at PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter, Instagram, your socials, as they say, because we got content coming at you from everywhere, Johnny.
Absolutely. Like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Do us a favor, subscribe and get us to 50,000 subscribers. We're barreling our way. Already the #1 digital media company here in Phoenix, sports related, and help us strengthen our grip. We're coming off a huge September, so we want to thank everybody here for making that happen.
Huge.
Hopefully we got good football en route. In the meantime, for Bo Noah, I'm Johnny Venerable. Check out that Baldy interview tomorrow. We're back live on a Football Friday with our game preview. It's PHNX.
We all silly like the mayor.